Hello and welcome to the DCS Mission Editor. I'm on the Syria map. You can use whichever one that you like. I currently like the Syria map. And so I thought I would, rather than showing one specific thing, run through the creation of a full mission. And so that's what we're going to do. So this is going to be a mission that when you've done, you can either play yourself or hand off to other people. One of the good ways of doing it is to upload it to the actual DCS website. You can upload your own missions that you've done. So let's have a little look. What kind of mission do I want to do? Let's have, we could have a carrier based one. And you know what? Why not? Let's drop one on. USA. I'm just going to drop this straight down. Let's go with the George Washington. Name of the group, CV, just going to call it CV73. Leave the frequency of the radio 127.5. Let's pop in a speed of 15 knots. And let's have it, you know what, let's real lazy, just give it one big waypoint away from the thing. And you can see down the ETA, it's going to take about 8 hours to get there at those settings, and that's fine. I'm going to add another unit to the group. I'm going to make sure it's not another George Washington. It's going to be, try the Ticonderoga, why not? And then number 3, let's have the, let's just have a couple of speedboats. There we go. So we've got unit 1, which is the carrier. I'm going to change the frequencies now of the others so they don't get in the way. So let's come to unit 2 and frequency 127.5, always the default. Let's push it to 128.5. Same here with the speedboats. That way they're not going to clutter up the radio menu. I'm just going to lay them out more or less how I like. So we've got the carrier. Let's say about a mile behind. So if I'm using the mouse wheel middle button to hold and the left click to drag the unit. So I'm going to say about a mile behind. I want this guy. And about 1.3 off to this side, I want that guy. And then this guy can be out to the front. Maybe a mile in front, something like that. So there's my little carrier fleet. I'm going to drop the aircraft down, just click it up there and change that to the F-18. This is the aircraft that the player is going to play as. So I'll drop that down as player. I'm going to call the name of it F-18 as it is the primary unit. I'll name it after the aircraft and call the pilot whatever you like. Let's give it the code Captain Hornet. Give it the call sign, whatever. Let's call it, I don't know, Colt 41. And let's come into the radio presets. Let's give him some. I'm going to leave the flight channel alone, the first one, 305. So channel 2, let's give 251. That's going to be my AWACS. Pop that on both sides. Let's go 252. That's going to be the tanker. And channel 4, let's give it the carrier. It's going to be 127.5, and same again down here, 127.5. So real simple one there. And we're now going to change the waypoint type because we're in the air. I'm just going to give myself one waypoint to make this much easier to select in the future. Drop back to waypoint 0 of the F-18 and type take it off. I'm going to say take it off from parking hot just so that the engines are already running. Now you see, rather than trying to select it on there and sometimes you click the ships, we can just select this waypoint here in the future. And why not have the first waypoint out there anyhow? Next thing I'm going to do is set up the bulls real quick. See on Syria, it overlays all the bulls points together like that to begin with. You've got blue, red and neutral. As we're playing as blue, and that's the only side that the real players are going to be at, it's a single player this one, I only care about the blue bulls, so where these are is irrelevant. It makes no difference to the AI. So let's leave those over there and out the way. We'll just give ourselves the blue bulls and let's set it up. Doesn't really matter where, only that it's somewhere halfway-ish between the carrier and the target area. Let's say Damascus is going to be our target area, so I'm trying to make this up on the fly. So let's set bulls about here. I think that there's a nice spot. The only next thing I'm going to do is click on my Hornet. We've got waypoint 1. Let's set waypoint to here, and then waypoint 3 here. And the waypoint 3, when we get into the game, is going to be the air-to-air waypoint or bulls. And well, I'll maybe just real quick go over that in case some people have forgotten how to set that up. It is in every mission. It is worth knowing how to do. The Damascus is going to be the enemy for this mission, so let's set this to the reds. Let's also set these support bases to red also. These are mostly helicopter bases. We do got another small airfield there and another one up there. Oh, and another one there. And I'm not going to waste any more time, but basically I would want all of the surrounding ones to be red. The mission's going to be that, let's think real quick, that we want to take out a, we want to take out a SAM site so that later on some other mission can go on. So our job's going to be the SAM site. So I could use a template, but I'm going to customize it. It's going to be the red side and let's use the town center somewhere like here. This looks like a nice open area that we can use. And we're going to use something that we can lock onto. How about the SA6? So here's the launcher. Let's give him his radar, so-called straight flush. And we'll also give him a short range AAA should we get through. And we'll call this group something suitable like SAM 1. And I'm now going to just line them up a little bit. So there's the first unit facing north. We want it to face west-ish because that's kind of where they would expect enemies to come from. The dish also to the west. Position always unit 1 first. And then last but not least, the AAA in case we get through. So there's SAM 1. I'm going to select the first unit there with the 1. Put my mouse over it, press Control C, and then I'm just going to click over here, left click to click off. I'm going to zoom out and move somewhere else. We see the red rings there. Sorry, these ones, that's the AAA. This is the range here of the SA6, so quite a good range. Let's set the second system somewhere between these bases here. Again, in a bit of an open space, perhaps here. And there we have, perhaps away from those buildings a little bit, so that the missile doesn't risk hitting its own building right off the bat. Perhaps there. And so the mission's going to be take these out and then later on, all right? Okay. I want to give myself an AWACS early warning. So I'm going to click on the plane icon, drop it down, change the country back to the USA. AWACS E2. Let's go magic. And the frequency is 251 for the AWACS, that's fine. I'm going to call the group something imaginative like wax. Same for the pilot. Let's get his altitude up to 17,000. I want him already up in the air. And there he is. I want him to stay kind of west of the carrier because the carrier will provide a bit of additional protection, but not too far, because he needs to give us the coverage as well. So what I'm going to do, let's give him a waypoint here. 1, 2, 3, and that'll do. You can go around there. Now, if we look here at the ETA, we see mission start default is 8 o'clock. We might tweak that later. What I'm interested in here is that it's an estimated 3 minutes for the AWACS to get to that waypoint. This isn't always exactly precise, but it's a fairly good estimation. It's based on things like the speed and so on. So let's try and make this last a little bit longer so we don't end up having too many waypoints. I'll extend the width a little bit, and now you see it's already going to take 21 minutes to get to that point. Let's bring back 4. We see half an hour. I'm now going to move it along just a little bit as the carrier moves. And 5, 6, let's do something like that. Now you see that's already going to take about 1 hour and 5 minutes. So let's repeat the whole process again and again. Where are we up to now? That's exactly 2 hours. Well, 2 hours is going to be more than long enough for this mission. And not exactly sure what the fuel capacity of these aircraft is like, but I would say 2 hours, we're probably looking at like it's time to come back. So at waypoint 14, I'm going to click here back to the carrier and choose it, landing, refuel at. So that's to land, refuel, rearm. Time 10 minutes, doesn't need to be as long as that. Let's say 5. And after that point, let's push the waypoint. The very next waypoint is already going to be back up at 15,000 feet at waypoint 16. I'm going to add one more, 17. And if I come here to the specials at waypoint 17, let me just do that again. I might have clicked it a bit too quick. So we've added waypoint 17, come to the edit page, advanced. Now I'm going to tell it, perform command, not invisible, switch waypoint back to waypoint 0. And so what's going to happen is this aircraft AWACS is going to spawn here. It's going to fly round and round and round. And we've said it's going to take more or less about 2 hours based on the estimated time. At that point, it's going to fly back to carrier, land, rearm, spend about 5 minutes-ish doing so, then take back off to here, come to waypoint 17, and then repeat the whole cycle again. That would make sure that we've got continuous AWACS coverage, minus potentially the 10 minutes it's on the ground if we take longer than 2 hours on the mission ourselves. Let's just pull that waypoint back a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is think, right, I want some enemy activity. So let's pop down a trigger. We'll drop it down. We're going to make this a quad point trigger. So we've not done one of those yet. And let's draw out the size. So this is going to be a zone where once we cross into this zone, we want the enemy to basically get ready to launch a plane. So I'm going to use the coastline. I think that's a pretty good area to have a enemy aircraft get responding. Let's pull this back just a little bit to make sure that there's no clever, sneaky players that try to fly around the outside and think that's how I'll avoid it. We're going to extend the trigger area to make it, not possible for them to come around the outside. Again, we could have just used a round one, but I'm using the squares just because we haven't done that yet. When you're done, press that edit again and that lets go. And there's the point. Going to name this something like Damascus TZ, Damascus Trigger Zone. We're going to come up here into the triggers and it's going to be a one-time thing and it's going to be trigger red air. Again, call it what you like. I like to be descriptive. And the one-time condition is going to be if part of coalition in zone, if part of the blue coalition is in the Damascus trigger zone, unit type, let's just leave it at all. So if, and actually let's say airplane, all right, because it's going to be, let's get specific, because we might later on decide to add some special ops on the ground. So let's say if a blue airplane is in that trigger zone, then do what? Well, in this instance, then do just flag number 1 for now. Let's leave it at that. And now let's set up where we want these interceptors to come from. Now I like to think somewhere a little bit out the way so they've sort of got to fly in. I mean, we're dealing with, we look from coast to there, we're dealing with still about 60 nautical miles. So there's definitely time for these things to happen in a manner that doesn't just make it like the bad guy popped up right in front of me, because he didn't. So let's pop one down, plane, make sure we're on Russia, or at least some other red coalition. You can even have the generic ones if you don't want it to be a specific nation. You want to try be real politically correct about it, you just have the reds versus the blues. I like to choose the nations just to get the different liveries. I mean, look at that for a Russian A10. Nice work. Of course, we're not going to have the Russian A10. We're going to set this over to, let's set it up to intercept mode. I mean, you can always have combat air patrol as well. And let's choose, what about a MiG-23 on the Russian side? Choose which weapons we want. Let's go with, that's a lot of drag those. Anyway, whatever. They know what they're doing. Rather than having one veteran guy, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop him down to rookie and give ourselves 2. We'll call that, because again, more fun for the player to destroy 2 things and think he did good than struggle to take out 1 and possibly get taken out. Clearly, you can up the difficulty if you think that better players are going to be playing, but by and large, not everybody is at that pro skill level, and you want to make it enjoyable for the majority, right? Unless you specifically say this is a really difficult mission. Let's drop down to Unit 1. Again, these guys are going to be spawning in the air at 6,000 feet. Well, we want them to spawn from the ramp. Maybe they can already have the engines running. That's fair enough. But we want late activation. Let's give them a waypoint for when they do activate. And we just want them to go maybe there. And then they can come here, pick up the height, let's say 12,000, and pick up the pace, something like 400 knots. Destination here. And then we just set these patrolling the general area. And then from here, back to waypoint 2. So destination, bomb command, switch waypoint number 2. We could also be clever and get them to land, refuel, rearm, and go back round and round and round, but let's leave it at that for the sake of time. I might just do that with a different one, just so that we bit of the bonus within the tutorial, all right? So let's have a helicopter. Let's do it with a helicopter and get it to fly between bases. So for simplicity, let's zoom in. Do you know what? That is the perfect helicopter. It's going to be the one. And we'll call this name, we'll call it the Red Helo. So there's clearly no threat. This is a bonus part of the helicopter, part of the tutorial. It's just going to add a bit of life in. All right, so there we have it. We're going to take this waypoint here, the first one. We're going to tell it to take off from the ground hot, so it's already running. We're then going to, let's go here, waypoint 1. Let's just check the altitude, because yeah, look at that. The altitude 2,106, but if I move my mouse here, you see that is actually what the altitude is, which is far too low. Far too low. Let's set him at 3,500 feet. That's a nice comfortable height. So above the ground, that's about 1,400 feet. Speed 90 knots, that's fine. And then from this point, we're going to go here and we're going to tell it to land and refuel. And let's just say 5 minutes. And then we're going to go to here. Look at the altitude again, push that back up, 3,500. And we're going to move it across to there and then here. And we're going to say the same thing again. Land and refuel, perhaps just 5 minutes. Then go to here. Once again with the altitude, 3,500. And then we're going to fly over to here. And then at this point, I don't want to go to 0, which was the start point. I want to go from here to waypoint 1. And then that whole sequence should cycle. And again, it doesn't have to be helicopters. You can do this with cars, with planes, with anything. So waypoint 1 is going to, on the advanced, perform command, switch waypoint to waypoint 1. There we go. So it's going to go from the DP, the destination point, to waypoint 1. Then it's going to land, wait 5 minutes, take off, go here, fly here, land, wait 5 minutes, take off, go here, and so on, forever and ever and ever. I don't know if DCS would simulate that these bases would eventually run out of fuel, and if you were to run this mission for about 5 years, perhaps it would drain the bases. I don't know, but it's possible. Anyway, we've got these two SAMs there. We've got the plane here with the late activation, MiG-23. When's MiG-23 going to activate? Let's come here. Once trigger flag is on number 1. So let's come down here. Let's call it MiG-23 activate. And we're going to say, when flag is true, 1. We cross into that zone. And then let's say something like time since flag 1, let's say 90 seconds. So we've crossed into the zone and another 90 seconds has passed, then do this. And the action is going to be group activate the MiG-23. And that is going to kick them off. Let's just check that was flag 1, yeah. So once any blue aircraft crosses into this zone, turn flag 1 on. Once flag 1 has been on and has been on for 90 seconds, activate group MiG-23. They will then carry out that intercept mission. We could also have up here Russia AWACS, and I'm going to call this something original like Redwax. Redwax. You don't have to worry about the frequencies for the other side if you're not playing it. It's irrelevant. Let's put him up at 25,000 and he can just do this box pattern. Perform command, switch waypoint back to the start, and he can cycle up there. You know what? We can give this guy an escort. Why not? That'll make it interesting. So I'm going to click on the plane, drop one down. On the task, escort. Let's have a look at the aircraft. Let's pick MiG-25. Perhaps not. MiG-31. Definitely not. Let's go with the Su-27. We'll give it a full tank of fuel. And let's choose its weapon loadout. Do you know what? A bit of everything. The jammer and a whole right pick and mix. And in the name, we're going to call it Su-27 Red Wax Esco. And pilot, just call it Red 27. I don't think we're going to have any more for this mission. He's going to spawn right next to the plane, so let's have a look. He's at 25,000, so let's make this the same, 25,000. And the speed of the red wax there was at 430, so let's make this slightly quicker. Let's say 444, and then we're going to click add, and I'm just going to give it one waypoint right in front. Let's say there, and when he gets there, the job is going to be to perform a task of escorting, and his job is to escort the red wax. The position, trail it, elevation, do you know what? Also fly 1,000 feet below. And the last waypoint I'm going to untick because I don't want that when the red AWACS gets to here and cycles back round that the escort buggers off, so I'm going to untick that. Set the distance for 32 miles. How does that? I might actually push that out a little bit. Let's say 42. And then when we get within 42 miles of this here, which could even be there, this guy's going to think about taking us on. So we'll have it like that. Let's look for a mission complete. So the mission is complete when these guys are taken out, and they're going to be taken out specifically when the radar unit is down, or the entire group, or the missile. The AAA is irrelevant. Whether he alive or dead is irrelevant. The pass is whether the missiles here don't launch. And that is only going to be the case if either this unit, the radar, is dead, or the missile truck, or both. And here we see SAM-1. So let's name this unit appropriately. S1 radar. S1R, that's what that code is. S1 radar. And this one is going to be, again, you call it what you like, but I'm trying to remember it. S1 radar, this is going to be the S1 missile. So SIR and SIM. And then I'm going to use that same convention over here. Same story, we don't care about the AAA. Here we've got the S2 radar for the SAM Site 2. And here we have the S2 missile. All right, let's come to the triggers and game that out in logical thing. So we need one time for SAM-1 to basically be complete from our point of view, as in dealt with. We need either unit dead, SAM-1 missile to be dead, clone, or the SAM-1 radar to be dead. But remember, this is an and we only need one or the other. So we'll pop that or in, we'll click on the first guy, get the or, and now we've got, so if the SAM Site 1 missile is dead, that's what we named it, or the SAM Site 1 radar is dead, then this. And this is going to be flag 1, whatever we want. Let's use the, we've used the first ones, let's use the 20s. So if flag 21 is on, that means the first SAM site has been taken care of. And obviously if both of these destroy, it's still going to be one or the other destroyed, because the or one of these will be destroyed before the other, or even if both, let's say if both are dead, it's going to go, is unit sim 1 dead? Yeah, oh well then that. Is that dead? No. Is that one dead? No. Well then nothing. Is that dead? No. And that's dead? Yes. Then that. All right, so remember the or isn't an exclusive or, so it's not, is that one dead? Yes. And that one dead? Yes. Well, that's not an or, so then no, doesn't work like that. It's either one of these or both. So let's just get that one straight. I'm going to clone that for simplicity, again, just so there's less to type. And the SAM-2, same story. Is the unit dead? Well, the SAM-2 missile or the SAM-2 radar, either or both, then flag on 22. So SAM-1 site is dealt with, flag 21 comes on. SAM-2 SAM site is dealt with, flag 22 comes on. So guess when mission is complete? When flag 21 and flag 22 have come on. So let's do it. It's a one-time thing. Mish My goodness, it's hard to spell sometimes. Mish success condition. And flag is true. 21. Clone that. 22. So when they, remember, with no or, they're an and. So when that and that, then this. And guess what? This. Flag on 23. So flag 23 comes on. That means mission complete. So what we do now is let's set up a trigger here. This is just going to check that if we've come back to base. So perhaps that's a little bit too big, but you know what? It doesn't matter because it might have taken us a long time. So if the carrier is in, well, no. If we are in there and those things are complete, but you know what? It could actually be even further because the carrier goes all the way out that way. So just to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up with a bug, let's push this out to about, I want to start off outside the trigger. There we go. We're not going to get it done before the carrier's moved 2 miles. And we'll call this the final RTB, whatever. Final RTB. So that's the name of the trigger. So what I'm going to say is flag 23 on, i.e. we've completed, we've destroyed we've taken out the missile systems, and we are back inside that trigger. So let's do that. So one time, MC, Mish complete, and RTB, return to base. Mish complete and return to base. So the conditions for mission complete are simply is flag 23 true, and return to base is the unit Hornet inside final RTB, then we're there, then, and I'm just going to say flag on 99. And then we're going to come down here, new line, and this is going to end the mission. End mission. Conditions. Flag is true. 99. And that only happens when all the above has taken place, like we've just discussed. If flag is true 99, then actions. And I could just go here, end mission, say the winner is blue, and da-da-da. But you know what? The player might want to land. So let's say, message to all. Congrats, you win. Mission success. Land on the boat to end game. Something like that. I'm also going to add a sound with this, just so that there is something to draw the player's attention to this message. I might extend that from 10 seconds to 12, and we'll clone that and change it from message to all to sound to all. And I'm just going to choose one of my trusty little sound files, probably something like 42. That sounds good, a bit like a stopwatch sound. I'm going to clone it a couple of times because it was a real short one. Delay 0, delay 1 second, and delay 2. And then it will go did-do, 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 as well as showing that message. And then we just say land on the boat to win the game. And let's just say win game then. Conditions. Well, for a start, flag 99 needs to be on. So flag true. We're just trying to check that he's back on the boat. But first off, did he complete the mission with flag 99? Yes. Then we'll say something like unit speed lower. So is the Hornet slower than 25 25 knots. Well, he will be if he traps on the boat, because the boat, if you remember, is moving around 15. Then actions, end mission, and we'll add a delay so it gives him time to pull his hook up and taxi off. Let's just say something like, I don't know, 25 seconds. Winner, blue. You can get creative. We'll just say you win. There we have it. So congratulations. Let's just say, let's get rid of you win there. Congrats, Mish, success, land on the boat to end the game. We come here. If the flag is true 99, well, that's only going to happen if all the other things like the bunkers are destroyed and the speed of the plane is less than 25 knots. Well, clearly that's not going to happen if you're flying. So you need to land, end mission, you win. Okay. So right there we have a working mission. You of course come to here, you can create your briefing. Let's real quick. Sam take down Damascus. Real original names, right? Situation. There are some SA6 SAM sites. There are some. Let's get a bit more accurate than that. There are 2 times SA6 SAM sites protecting Damascus, as well as some AAA. Your job is to take these out before the ground offensive can begin. Again, you're just coming up with, all right, a bit more meaningful than that, but you get what I'm saying. And then the blue task. Follow the route and as follows. And then here we're going to say waypoint 3 equals bulls. And 251.00 equals the AWACS. Let's add a refueler in as well. So 252 equals tanker, and we're going to put a slash on there of 52 X-ray for the TACAN. And then 127.5 equals I've forgotten which one we chose now. Let's just call it the carrier for 1 sec while I double check. And let's choose this waypoint here to make sure I select the ship. It is the CV-73 George Washington. I'm going to now select waypoint 0. I realise I didn't set up the TACAN. So we've got the George Washington selected, the unit CV-73. Waypoint 0, it's important, it's 0. We go to add, perform command, activate the TACAN. And because it's the 73, I add that in as the TACAN number as well. Call sign, 3 letters. Let's go GWT, George Washington. At least that's how I'm saying it. And then I'm going to add on, perform command, the ICLS as well. I always try and use that last digit, so we'll go channel 13, the 73, same unit. And I use the same convention, but with an X. So I go George, Washing, and then X for X-ray. For the landing, GWX. So there we have it at 73. So let's come back to the brief. Carrier. We've got 73 X-ray for the TACAN, and then I just call it ILS channel 13. There we go. All right, let's now get on with the tanker, and then I think we're done. I wanted to add a little bit of something here just to, just so it's not just a basic tanker on a pattern. Let's get a bit more creative than that, and that's going to be the bonus and the last part of this mission. Let's just carry on with the waypoints. So I've got waypoint 3 for the balls. And let's add 1 there, because there's a bit of a river and a valley. And perhaps there, 5. And then I guess really the sort of last set of hills and whatnot to hide behind are about here. So let's go 6. And then 7. This time I'm not going to add a return. I think that's fine. Let's just add into the task waypoint 6 equals last. Let's name it a bit more properly. Let's name it the ingress point, and then waypoint 7 equals Damascus area locate SAMs. Last but not least, expect air resistance. Something like that. Expect air resistance. Okay. What weapons did I give myself? I don't think I've done that yet. No. So let's change the role of the F-18 from cap to CAS, combat air support. Let's choose a paint scheme that we like. We might use one of the default ones, or sometimes I like the more colourful ones, just depends what mood you're in. Let's go for the, actually not that blue one, that blue one. There we go. Let's fly like that for this mission. Suitable loadout. Remember, make it suitable for the mission. So you've got the SAMs to deal with, but you've also got the enemy air threat. So I'm really thinking harm. Going to create a custom payload for this. We'll call it harm and air to air. Let's that will do. So I'm going to always pop the 9Xs on the wings. I think that's a great start. Don't need the TGP, do we? Because we're dealing with we're going to use the harm, so I'm going to actually use the extra that for another air to air. Don't know there yet. Do you know what? Actually, right. Fuel tank in the middle. This gives us the purpose for the tanker. Fuel tank there. We want one of the harms here. Where are we? And arm. And then here we could have some kind of, you know, if that goes wrong, one of them misses, shot down, some backup. I get it, we could add more harms, but I'm thinking let's mix it up a little bit. How about, again, it's going to be non-targeting pods, so it's going to be a visual one. Mark 83. We could put 2 on, but let's just put 1 to try and keep the air resistance down. I think that's going to be a pretty nice setup. You know what? Let's go the whole way. Let's go Mark 84s. There we have it. So we've got Mark 84s times 2, 2 harms, 2 AMRAAMs, 2 9Xs, and a bag. I think that will serve the mission well. So that's going to be takeoff and that route. Let's add this tanker. This is where I wanted to get creative. So we can have it take off right in front of us. That's the first interesting thing. So USA refueling. It's got to be the S3B. Texaco, get the freak right. 252. Texaco. And so the name, let's just call it Tex. Why not? Tex for Texaco. The TACAN, we've already said, is 52 on the radio. So it's going to be 52. Call sign, Tex for Texaco. Make sure you click it on the unit. And the first one is going to be takeoff from runway. Need to make sure it's not going to crash with us, be on the same stand. Let's go number 4. I'm going to go waypoint 1. It's going to be 600 feet, not 6,000, 600. And then we're going to peel away this way. 2,000 feet. Let's actually push that waypoint out a little bit. Slightly this way, slight, then this way. All right, at waypoint 2, what sort of distances? Here we go. Let's climb waypoint 3. Let's climb to, I think, don't need to be too high, 4,000 feet. There we go. And then waypoint 4 is just going to be here. Also 4,000 feet. And then it's going to fly back to waypoint 3. So let's go add, perform command, switch waypoint, back to waypoint 3. But we're going to add a condition onto that because it's going to wait for us to fly out. So rather than creating a custom flag or radio option or whatever, this time it's just going to be based on a trigger. And the trigger, so this is going to sort of work in the background of the mission. No player interaction needed. Something like this, I think. And we're just going to call it the refuel move up trigger. And so the story is when RF-18 comes into this area, this tanker, instead of flying back and forth here, is going to move out to waypoint 2. And waypoint 2, as far as we're concerned, can actually be a bit closer, something like there. Perhaps even there. And then that is more or less halfway to the target area. And how do we know that we're there? We're going to come to the triggers. It's a one-time thing. Is F18 on the way, OTW, and I'm just going to go condition. And again, this is exactly how I would create a mission, just like this. Is F18 on the way? Won't be babbling along in the same way, but I'm doing my best here. Is F18 is unit inside the zone? Is the Hornet inside the refuel move up zone? If that's the case, so make sure I don't step on any of my existing flags, I'm going to corrupt the mission. So I went through the 20s. Let's go 31. Let me just real quick check back. Flag 99, flag the 20s. So we've used the 0s and the 20s, so the 30s. So when the F18 goes there, flag 31 comes on. So how do we make this stop? So we're going from waypoint 4. This is like a hold, if you imagine. The tanker's going to be here holding. Let's reduce that a little bit so it's a bit shorter. Well, we just say to waypoint 3 and create a condition. We only want it to go back to waypoint 3 if flag 31 is not yet activated. So is user flag 31 off? Well, it's always going to be off when the mission starts, and so it's going to cycle round. Once the F18 is on the way, in that trigger, flag 31 comes true. When flag 31 comes true, this becomes true. That means this whole condition becomes false. Then it's no longer going to switch back to waypoint 3. Well, where's it going to go instead? It's going to proceed to waypoint 5. Waypoint 5, we're going to say we want it about here. And then at waypoint 5, we're going to cycle. Waypoint 6. At waypoint 6, add a command, switch waypoint, back to waypoint 5. So now that the tanker's going to cycle there. And we're now going to wait for a condition until user flag 32 becomes true. So if 32 is false, which again it will be when the mission starts, do this cycling over and over. When flag 32 becomes true, then it's going to continue to waypoint 7 and then it can land. So how do we make flag 32 become true? Well, we wait for something, and I'm thinking the most obvious thing is when the Hornet leaves this existing trigger that we've called the Damascus trigger zone. We're going to not be in that already here. So to avoid this confusion, I'm going to create another trigger zone rather than try and work with an existing one. We're going to call this Tanker Go Home. And let's now think the way that we're going to do it. We place it here. Let's make it bigger. Not that big. Tanker Go Home. And I think we say there. So when the Hornet comes back, fly, we'll say in the mission description, fly to the tanker. I mean, he probably already will. He'll be low on fuel. And so when he re-enters this trigger, that's going to be the cue for the tanker then to go home. How do we make this not trigger the first time? Simply we say, first of all, the Hornet's got to have gone into the other trigger zone. I'm going to just drop that down a little bit, perhaps to 60. There we go, 60,000. So I'm just going to create a whole separate series. So if we just game this out from this point of view, and then I will put it into a logical way, because again, we've got to puzzle all these. Just let me, sorry about this. There we go. So let's game this out. We don't want any of this triggering off the bat to begin with. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to say, is the F-18, ignore all of this, is the F-18 been in this trigger zone first, the original one? Well, if it has, then that's step one. Then if the F-18 enters this Tanker Go Home zone in that order, 2, then set this series, because generally the F-18 is only going to be coming back here once it's been here. I could say wait until the SAM sites are destroyed, but there's a chance that the F-18 doesn't destroy the SAM sites, and if that's the case and he returns back to this zone, we still want the tankers to go home. So we're just going to say, has the F-18 been in this zone? Yes. And this one? Yes. Then tanker go home. So let's sort that out. So first off, one time, F-18 been in Damascus. One time. Unit, where we go? Unit inside zone. So the Hornet inside the Damascus zone. Yes. Then flag on. Let's come into the 40s now. Flag on 41. And let's create a new one. F-18 in is now let's say this one. Right. Flag, right, new condition. Let's delete these. New. If the F-18 has been in Damascus, flag 41 is true. So one time, if flag 41 is true, so he's been at Damascus, flag 41, plus condition. So this isn't going to happen until flag 41's been true. Unit inside zone. Where are we? Unit inside zone. The Hornet is in tanker go home. There. So flag 41 is true, which only happens when the F-18 has been over here. Then, when the Hornet is inside this zone, then action. And obviously 41 was for the above one. So 41, then do this, 42. When flag on 42, that is the cue for the tanker to come home. So let's switch back to the tanker waypoints here. Let's have a look. Waypoint 5. So waypoint 6, switch back to waypoint 5 unless condition 32 is false. Well, we've already decided it's 42. So 42 is going to be false. It's going to cycle. So he's at waypoint. He's at waypoint 6. Let's talk this through properly, so we're all together. It's going to switch back to waypoint 5. And there we have it. Going back to waypoint 5. Task is enabled, providing that the flag 42 is false. When we go through these, the F-18 comes over here. That makes flag 41 true. The F-18 has then made flag 41 true and comes back here. That makes flag 42 true. And we've just gone over the cycling when flag 42 is true. Tanker's going to go home. And with that, not only am I completely worn out with my voice and out of breath, but I think we have a working mission. So what I'm going to do real quick is test that mission. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it's going to take too long. The way that I'm going to cheat, and this is the way that I would suggest that you cheat. Again, by cheating, I simply mean you're testing various parts of the mission. You pick the plane that you're going to be, and instead of take off from parking hot, you change it to a type turning point. Remember to set it back after you're done, and just move it to where you want to be at that specific time. Well, I'm going to say I want to be here, and then when I fly there, that's going to activate that tanker to move on, and then I'm just going to turn hot. All that I'm looking for when I turn hot is that these aircraft activate and come and get me. There should already be a Russian AWACS with an escort, so let's see how that works. And then assuming that works, I'm going to call it the end of the mission. So I'm going to press that, press play. Yes, I want to overwrite. Probably want to tweak the time and the seasons, and not that the Syria map has seasons, at least to my knowledge, but it certainly has the time of day and the weather. So here we go. Let's get the burners on. And real quick, just to make sure I've done it right, let's get the data link page on down there. Push the ranges out. There we can see the SAM rings. Let's push the radar on. Let's turn in. HSI. Get the sequencing on. Waypoint 1, 2, 3. Waypoint 3 was the AA Bulls waypoint. I did promise I would show that, just for those that maybe forgotten how to do it. You come onto your nav page here. You set up, you look where Bulls is, and in this case, because we set it up, the Bulls point is already waypoint 3. If it wasn't, you would create your custom waypoint, but we know it is. So I'm going to set waypoint 3, come to the data page, and here set AA waypoint. And now the AA waypoint, which is the Hornet's way of saying Bulls, is set to waypoint 3. Come back to HSI, and we can now move on, and it remembers that the AA waypoint is still number 3. So with that, let's turn in hot. Let's listen to the AWACS, which was on 251. Going to come off the burners just so that we do have a bit of fuel. Let's push the Bing out. Don't like seeing it at 0. It's almost like an OCD thing. Not that I have that, but you know what I mean. You've got that one niggling thing where you see somebody else flying and they just have a switch in the wrong place relative to how you fly, and you just want to reach out and press it. Well, that is that. So there we have. That's, I believe, the Russian AWACS and its escort. There's every chance once we get into range that that escort is going to take us on, because that's what it was set to do. Get the bypass switch on. And I'm thinking at this point, time compress. Let's push the waypoint out to number 6. That was the ingress, the last sort of safe hill to hide behind. And I can already see we've got something intercepting us, or what appears to be. So let's focus the radar in on that point. Let's make sure that IFF is on. Make sure that data link is on. Let's give it a soft lock and let's take a look. Definitely hostile. Well, red guy. Go to track while scan and take a zoomed in look. It's definitely an escort in flight. We can see the 2 aircraft there. And they seem to be flying together. I'm going to guess that that escorting guy is going to take us on pretty quick. So I'm going to keep that view on, the expanded mode, and I'm expecting those 2 contacts to diverge pretty darn quick. We're at 38 nautical miles. I'm sure we set it to, what was it? Was it 42? I'm surprised. What have we got there? Got SA-6 and the 2 aircraft are diverging. So it is definitely party time. All that I want to wait for now is that that other aircraft, those 2, what were they? Were they MiG-27s? Su-27s, that they are beginning to roll. Let's take a little look on the F10 map. And yeah, we see, oh no, they were MiG-23s. And indeed they are. They are now taxiing on the way to takeoff. So we zoom back in. You might want to tweak those timings a bit. And again, this is all part of testing the mission. You might think, you know, those MiGs, they're going to get there when the mission's already complete. So on air to ground, let's switch to the harms. Let's go TOO, target of opportunity. I don't need the ground mode, so let's get the air radar mode back in. The SA-6s make that sensor of interest. Let's go for this one. Let's uncage. Rifle. I've definitely got red guys on me. Let's get my HMD up to get some info. E2 and the carrier. Oh, nice. That's already one SAM site taken on. Who else we got here? The other SA-6. Let's turn in and try take him on. Break, break, break. He's firing at me. I got tally on the tails. Oh, I thought I was behind the hill. Oh my goodness, that's going to be tight. Right, let's go hot and try and fire on him. Don't have used all your missiles. I need to shoot at you. There he is. Let's uncage. Rifle. That escorting plane isn't engaging me for some reason, and I'm wondering, did we give the escorting aircraft any missiles? I can't remember. But I'm definitely inside the range that we set him to engage us at. And there's the other SA-6. So right now, mission complete. I think both missile systems are taken out. It wasn't part of the mission to destroy the enemy aircraft. If you remember, it was just that both the missile systems were unable to fire. So at this moment in time, if I return to base, it should complete. And I think it's time to test whether that is the case. So let's pick up the pace. And just check that whether the end mission sequence works. And then assuming it does, we're done, right? Let's get rid of the mirrors. Drop that down to 350. I'm going to guess that's the two intercepting aircraft that are now going to be a problem. And if we zoom in up here, we see indeed they are in town. The zoom is also speeded up. That also always gets me by surprise with the speeding up the time. Let's push out to 140. Let's check the TACAN of the refueling. Remember, it's 52. Turn it on and come into air-to-air mode. And there indeed we see the tanker TACAN. Hasn't yet gotten to where it's supposed to hold. That's because we of course spawned up front. Let's just slow down and see where these enemy mix. Looks like they've only just gotten in the ground, taken off, so clearly you would have to tweak the timing of this, either move them to a closer airfield, get them to start from the runway or something like that, because they, you know, clearly that's too long. Alright, so we see that the TACAN of the tanker is working. Let's switch the TACAN of the carrier itself. I think, was it 72 or 73? Well, 72 don't work. There we go, 73. So the ILS is going to be channel 13. Let's turn that on and let's get a check there. And we see by that line we know that it's working. What frequency? He was on channel 4, so let's hit up the AWACS. George Washington inbound. BRC 265. Alright, moment of truth then. Does it all work? Let's get the BRC of 265. There we go. We're in line-ish. By pure coincidence. Let's drop the hook. Speed up again. And again, we're hoping to see that the mission does complete once we land. It should do, because we took out both the SAM sites. And I believe I got my coding. I say coding, it's not really coding, is it? It's just logic. I believe I got it right. Let's get the HSI onto the right page. Drop down. Congrats, mission success, land on the boat to end the game. Great, so we know that the first part of the check is working.
010, power, roger, BRC 26 knots, signal is Charlie.
Okay, we're gonna have to...
010.
We've still got the Mark 84s on, don't we? Do we? Yeah. Alright, well we can land with Mark 84s. I'm sure it's probably not standard procedure, but we can. I'll just give myself a little bit more wiggle room then. And again, this is just sort of a bit of a wind down period for you, right? All the brain work for you keeping track of what I'm trying to waffle on about is finished. Here comes the gear. Pull back a bit. It was a tad fast when I dumped it, but we're fine. Drop the flaps. The ILS is crossing off nice. I'm going to focus on that now. Let's zoom in. Dim the heads up down a bit. No, it's fine. It's fine. Not entirely sure that ILS is right. It could just be that I'm not used to flying like this. We are indeed a bit high. But power, power, power. Ah, it was a bolter. No. I was really hoping that was going to be finished then. I came off the power a bit soon. Forget that I've got two Mark 84s on. I'm trying to just do this really quick to check. At least that checks that you can't just touch and go and bolter and that's the end of the mission, right? At least, you know, we'll rename it and call it we're doing mission integrity testing. God, this is a terrible end. I'm really sorry. This is not how I wanted to end my mission. I don't just mean with the bolter. It's just I've gotten tired after recording that whole thing. Come on. This time you trap. Your hook's down, your wheel's down, your flap's down. You're trapping no matter what. I've got the air brakes out. I'm going to slam it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Do you know what? It's the end of the mission. It's the end of the mission. I can't keep going. I'm tired. It's done. Alright, I hope you found that one useful. And I really am tired. I'm not just messing, I really am. So I really hope you found that useful. If you do, leave a like, subscribe for some more. Take care. Have a good one. Good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night, wherever in the world you may be. Bye-bye.